Hey everyone. Today we've got my favorite vehicle of all time. It's a 2020 Toyota Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser's been on sale in this current generation since the 2008 model year now. It's kind of due for a redesign, but then again, it's pretty much fine how it is. It's low on technology, super high on off-road capability, incredibly reliable, not very efficient, but other than that, it's pretty much everything an SUV should be. So let's do a quick overview of the Land Cruiser. I'll try to highlight some of my favorite things about it, and then I'll share with you more of my thoughts on this legendary vehicle. Alright, so this generation of Land Cruiser, known as the 200 series, has been on sale now since the 2008 model year. It's received 2 updates. The first came for 2013, and it was a pretty mild update. The fog lights changed a little bit, the interior changed a little bit, it gained a few features, but the more major update came for 2016, and that brought the vehicle into the form that you see here. It got a new front end, slightly tweaked rear end, and an all-new dashboard. One of my favorite little Land Cruiser Easter eggs is that this front end design actually mimics the design on the 80 series Land Cruiser, sold from 1995 until 1997. If you look at photos of the two, you can see that both have these little winglets that extend into the headlights. And then while this design is pretty exaggerated compared to that one, the two vehicles also share this hexagonal grille. Moving down to the side, if this were my vehicle, I'd add some all-terrain tires, I'd get rid of those running boards. But as is, the Land Cruiser is incredibly capable, and we'll get into some of that in a minute here. Just as blocky around back as it is in the front, one of my favorite design elements of the Land Cruiser is this rear hatch design. It's a split rear hatch, so you can see that the glass is hinged at the top, and when you lift that up, you're left with this tailgate. Now this used to be mechanical, but in one of the updates over the years, they made it electronic, which I don't really like. I think it's a little cumbersome to use. So this paddle here just operates a switch. You can hear it. It used to be mechanical, but now it's just like an electronic button, so to speak. Listen. So it releases it and then it falls down. It's a damped lowering, which some might like, some might not. And this is why I love this tailgate so much. You can just lower it and then sit down back here and hang out. Yeah, it's the best. I don't know why more cars don't have this design. I actually own a 100 series Land Cruiser, and it has this same tailgate design, and I have used it as a bench, like I'm using this one now. I've used it as a workbench for fixing things and opening up toolboxes and laying things out on. I've used it as a kitchen counter to prepare dinner while camping, and I actually use it to sleep in the back of my Land Cruiser. I'm about 5'11", and I can barely fit back there. So for a little bit of extra room, I like to put the tailgate down and then put the glass down just so that I can dangle my feet out overnight while I'm camping. As for the rear cargo area, the Land Cruiser seats 8, but what's unique about it is that this third row seat doesn't fold into the floor. It actually folds down and then flips up to the side. And the reason they do that is to preserve ground clearance underneath. We'll climb underneath here. You can see that there's a fair amount of space under there, and instead of give up that space by designing a third row that folds down into the rear cargo floor, Toyota has opted to preserve it at the expense of these third row seats being kind of wonky to use. If this were my vehicle, I would probably remove the third row altogether. It doesn't come out that easily. It comes out really easily on the 100 series. You just grab a lever here and pull, and it comes out. Seats are kind of heavy, and on this one, you actually have to use a screwdriver. I've never attempted it myself. I imagine there are some bolts under here, and then you can eventually get them out. It's not that hard from what I hear, but it definitely isn't as easy as just popping them out with a handle. But either way, you can see they do take up a fair amount of cargo space. This is a large vehicle, but with these seats here, rear cargo area isn't as usable as most would probably like. Some compartments in here, kind of fun. So something can be strapped down there. I think that's the spare tire toolkit. Spare tire toolkit is right here. Right here, I imagine then would be for like a hazards triangle for if you're changing your spare tire. But generally, US cars don't include those. But a lot of cars in Europe and Australia do. And the rear liftgate is power. You can actually turn off the power functionality via a button up on the dashboard, but it's only the top glass that is power operated. So it knows that the tailgate's down and it won't put the glass down, but if I put the tailgate up, press that, the glass will go down. One thing I will mention is that it has passive keyless entry on all 4 doors. So on a lot of Toyotas, only the driver's door or just the driver and passenger doors are passive keyless entry, meaning that you can press this and lock the car. On the Land Cruiser though, you get it on all 4 doors. So I have the key in my pocket, I'm on the back door here, and there you go. Just locked it and unlocked it via the back door. All right, let's go ahead and turn it on. And this is where I'll begin to make the case for why this is the perfect vehicle. The interior is super functional, but you'll notice there aren't a lot of technological frivolities, we'll call them. You do get some active safety features on this thing: automatic emergency braking, radar cruise control, blind spot monitoring, automatic high beams. It's fairly well equipped. Materials quality is really high. I say high, not exactly plush luxury. It is pretty plush and it is pretty luxurious, but it's not like Audi A8 luxurious. This is a slightly soft touch door panel here. This wood, I'm not sure if it's real or not, but there's like a matte finish on it. It's a really faint, subtle brown color. You get memory settings for the seat, really chunky door handles, and call another grab handle on the door. 4 automatic windows, really basic window switches here, but this is the embodiment of Toyota quality. So you can see that, like on a Lexus, the windows slow down when they reach the bottom or the top of their opening. Just super high quality right there. You know it's never gonna break. Some switches over here on the panel. You've got power mirrors, automatic high beams, parking sensors, and headlight washers right there. Mirror controls. Dashboard is soft touch, not like a super rubbery surface. It's like a foam padding in between maybe vinyl and hard plastic. Big speaker right here, more soft touch material. This one has the Terra brown leather interior, which I really enjoy. The only other interior color option on this vehicle is black, although there is a Heritage Edition Land Cruiser offered for 2020 that has black with silver stitching. Moving on, we'll take a look at the window sticker here, and you can see that there's really not a lot to this sticker. This is a 2020 Toyota Land Cruiser. Its place of assembly is Aichi, Japan. Fuel economy is not great from this thing. 13 city, 17 highway, 14 combined. Really terrible, frankly. But that said, 5.7 liter V8 under the hood, 381 horsepower, 401 pounds-feet of torque, paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. This vehicle is somewhat closely related to the Toyota Tundra and Sequoia. They share an engine, but the Sequoia and Tundra both come with a 6-speed automatic. Land Cruiser is a little more premium. This is a world vehicle, meaning that Toyota sells it in a variety of markets across the world. So part of that 2016 update was that it gained an 8-speed automatic transmission. Didn't really help fuel economy though. No options on this thing really. The only option offered on the Land Cruiser actually is this rear seat entertainment system. It consists of 2 screens on the driver and passenger seat backs. I would definitely skip them. They cost $2,000, which is the cost of 2 iPad Pros that are actually usable. We'll leave it at that. Total price on this thing's pretty nuts. $89,000 factoring in destination and that $2,000 entertainment system option. So pretty steep, but a little later I will make a case for why that really isn't as crazy as it first looks. Loads of off-road features in this thing. I had one of these as a press loaner about a year and a half ago, and I took it off-roading down in southern Utah, and I was really impressed. Great geometry. The suspension, it's not branded Fox or TRD or Icon or anything like that, but it handles washboard, it handles undulations in the road like any premium suspension offered on any off-road pickup or SUV out there. Super heavy, super planted, just as luxurious going down a dirt road at 70 miles per hour as it is cruising around the city. So you can see the dial here to activate 4-low. This vehicle has full-time 4-wheel drive, so it's always in 4 or all-wheel drive, and to put it into 4-low, you just switch this knob over to L4 here. Back here you've got the control for crawl control and multi-terrain select. Crawl control is like an off-road cruise control. That's how Toyota markets it. It's like a low-speed cruise control for taking on really rough, rocky surfaces. And then multi-terrain select allows you to select between a few different terrains like rock and sand, mud, snow. You're probably familiar with that by now. This is a hill descent control, and then this is a really unique feature. It's called off-road turn assist. And when it's active, the Land Cruiser will actually brake the inside rear wheel when you're turning, and that should theoretically cut down on your turning radius off-road. So I think about like the switchbacks on Black Bear Pass in the San Juan Mountains in Colorado. This feature could actually be kind of helpful in those areas. So yeah, kind of a cool feature. I don't know of any other vehicle that offers it. Some pretty basic stuff here. Toyota's been offering these electronically controlled transmission power and electronically controlled transmission second gear start buttons with their truck transmissions since the late 90s. Stability control button here, and then lock for the center differential. The Land Cruiser has not offered a locking rear differential since the 1999 model year. More interior stuff here. Part of the 2016 update was an all-new dashboard, and the most notable part of this new dashboard is right here. So while it looks like a really huge screen when the vehicle's turned off, you'll actually notice that it's really, I think this is probably a 9-inch infotainment screen. Let's see, 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system. So Toyota's infotainment is not that great, and working against this one is the fact that it hasn't really been updated in years. So you get the same infotainment system you got in 2016. No Android Auto, no Apple CarPlay, which is kind of a bummer. You can see that it's kind of low resolution, actually really low resolution. I'll go ahead and put it into reverse so we can see the backup camera. Again, pretty low res. One thing that is cool, when you pop this car into neutral and then put it into 4 low, you have to press that knob down to get into 4 low. Then you get this off-road camera. So there's a 360-degree camera system in this thing, and you have cameras in each of the side view mirrors, and that actually serves to give you a view of, it's a couple different views actually. That gives you a view of what's going on down the side of the vehicle. This is out the front. Shows you your pitch and roll angles. Let's see what happens when we press different things here. So you can change some of the views. Kind of convenient. Unfortunately though, the low resolution cameras kind of make it difficult to detect what is a bush and what is a rock. So not as usable as it could be, but still kind of cool to have. Okay, other features. There are some limitations to this system. You'll notice that there's no button to adjust fan speed here. To do that, let's see if I can figure. Yeah, this always climate maybe. Okay, so you press climate, and then you have to use the touch screen to adjust fan speed here. That's a little bit frustrating. I think if this were my vehicle, I'd just get used to using auto as often as possible, but we're not going to do that right now. We are going to turn fan speed all the way down. Actually, let's just turn the system off altogether. There we go. So you got buttons up here for controlling infotainment, home, nav. These apps are all completely obsolete today, so it's a little bit frustrating that there's a button for them. Audio, phone, and then your settings right here. Pretty primitive system. If they would reflash this software here and update it, this thing would be pretty much flawless in my eyes. You do get a little screen on the dashboard here like you do on pretty much every other Toyota truck. If you've been in a 4Runner or a Tacoma or a Sequoia or a Tundra, you're familiar with each one of these menus. Steering wheel's a unique design. You don't get this steering wheel on the Tundra or Sequoia. I do really like the center console. This update for 2016 does do a pretty nice job at taking this thing into premium territory. You have brushed aluminum. It's not real aluminum. It's plastic, but it looks like brushed aluminum all down the console and up the center stack. Another unique feature of the Land Cruiser is that you have auto mode for the heated seats. So you can turn it on auto for the ventilated seats. And that'll automatically turn the ventilation on high, low, medium, depending on the cabin temperature. You've got heated and ventilated front seats and a heated steering wheel. We went over all the four-wheel drive controls. Like I said, 8-speed automatic. I do really like that you have an old school mechanical parking brake. Really nice. You can see you get an asymmetrical lid here. So aluminum goes all the way to here, and then the lid for the cup holders actually extends in plastic right there. Cup holders are kind of clever. They can be made smaller or bigger. Put that down. A party trick that kind of has outworn its welcome is this center console cool box. It's novel. It runs off the air conditioning system, and it's not turned on right now. I'll turn it on. You can hear it when it's turned on. When the lid's closed, you really don't hear it. But you hear it definitely when the lid's open. And I haven't gotten to test this, but I imagine it would keep things cool. I don't know that it would cool something down from room temperature. So if you put a beverage in there, I don't know if it would have it refrigerated, so to speak. But it'll keep something cool. So one thing I don't really love about this, though, is that it really limits how you can use this center console storage box. You'll notice that there's not a lot of storage on the console of this vehicle, and like I alluded to before, that's because it's a world vehicle. It's designed to have appeal in all markets across the world. As you know, the Land Cruiser is relied upon by foreign governments in the Middle East. It's one of the best-selling vehicles in Australia, and Americans are really the ones that demand loads of storage space in their vehicles. And I know this from my days working at Volkswagen Group of America. A lot of vehicles that are designed for foreign markets will come with less storage space than you get in, say, an American pickup truck or an American sedan or crossover. And as a result, you can see that there just isn't a ton of storage space in this thing. Right here is a little cubby. You do get a wireless charging pad in there, which is nice because this is really the only place where your phone fits on this center console. So you throw your phone in there and it does charge while it's sitting in there, which is nice, but not the most usable cubby there. So you've got that. You've got the cup holders right here, and then your only other option is this center console box. Luckily, there's a lid up top here, but even that, there's really not much space there. Maybe a room for some papers. I think you could probably slot a phone right there, but really not that spacious. And then you can see that if this refrigerator box wasn't here, you'd have way more space in this box right here. And actually on the 2020 Land Cruiser Heritage Edition, it doesn't come with this cool box. So you get a big storage cubby right here, which is probably really nice. Unfortunately though, on the non-Heritage Edition Land Cruisers, you have no choice but to get this refrigerated box right here. It comes standard, and it really just serves to eat further into storage space on this vehicle. Yeah, it's pretty deep. You could fit some things in there. You have to not mind having them refrigerated. Luckily, you can turn this off. But this isn't an ice pack, really. I think it's just meant to keep things off the bottom there and help them to get cool. So, yeah, I don't love the center refrigerator box is what I'm getting at. I think that about covers the front seat here. Let's hop in the back because there are some cool things back there. Okay, in the second row of the Land Cruiser, and there's a fair amount of space. Got about a whole hand's worth right here. One thing I mentioned, it has these second row entertainment package. So these are covers on these screens here. I don't know how you get them off. Okay, so they slide off from the bottom. They just have this elastic band here. And you've got a couple things, I guess. Are they touchscreen? No, so they're not touchscreen. There are headphones down here, which I'm sure are, yeah, trust me, they're pretty low quality. Is there a remote? Yes, there's a remote. Oh my. Yeah, so this technology is from 2007. It was standard in the 2016 model year Land Cruiser, and people actually hated it so much that Toyota was forced to make it an option for 2017 forward. Like I said, I would not opt for this. I'd just get two iPads for the same price and put them on stands. behind the headrests if I really, really wanted rear seat entertainment. Anyway, let's put that away. There's a little storage clip for the remote there. Oh my. I'll go ahead and put that up. Beyond that though, pretty comfortable back here. You've got an air vent, grab handles, super chunky handles just like up front, and you do get AC back here. You actually have outboard heated seats and then temperature controls. There's an HDMI port and headphone ports for that entertainment system back here, and then you have volume knobs as well. HVAC vents, you get storage nets in each of the seat backs. The brown leather's pretty nice back here, don't mind it at all. Some lights up there, no panoramic sunroof in this thing. Like I said, no nonsense like that in the Land Cruiser, you just get a regular sunroof. So I think that about covers the second row. Let's go explore the third row. So I'm going to start by putting it down. So you pull this handle. There is a 100-watt 3-prong AC power outlet back here, little bonus feature. I'm going to pull the handle here, and that releases the seat from the sides. See, this little thing clips the seat in so that it's not bouncing around back here. So you release it there, and then you've got this little handle here. It's actually held on with a magnet, which is really clever. So you just drop it in, and it clips in place there. But you grab that, and then pull that up. That's in place. And then pull the headrest up, and now we'll go ahead and climb in and see how much room is back here. So it's not as tight as the third row in a lot of vehicles. Not a ton of space back here. My knees are hitting the second row seat back. So not a ton of space. I don't know that I'd want to put 3 people across back here unless they were kids, but I think 2 adults could tolerate it. See what it's like with this one in place. So there's that. Yeah, so if it was just me back here, it wouldn't be that bad. But with a second person, space will be a little more limited. The floor is completely flat all the way across. 3 people back here, that wouldn't be all that comfortable. But then again, if there were 3 people back here, it's more likely that there'd be kids anyway. So, couple cup holders, little storage compartment. Yeah, and that's really all there is to show in the Land Cruiser's third row. Okay, now to get out of here. I'm gonna put this headrest down. There's this little paddle for putting the headrest up and down. And then I'm gonna pull this guy, put the seat down. Okay, that's just too hard. And then there's a handle down here, and that gets that out of the way, and we'll lock it in place against the D pillar, and we're out. Maybe a better view of this one. So paddle, handle. This is a piece of seatbelt material, and I'm not going to be real rough, but there we go. So that's down. Clip that back into place via that really nice magnet there, and then lock that up against the sides. And there we go. So it takes up a lot of space, but that's really the only drawback to it in my mind, because that was really easy to do right there. Didn't mind it that much. So wrapping up the Land Cruiser here, I'll try to keep this brief. I'm passionate about these vehicles. I own a 100 series Land Cruiser from the 1999 model year. It has 240,000 miles on it. It's still going strong. I have a ton to say about these cars, but I'll try to sum things up here in a few simple ways. This vehicle, out the door at a Toyota dealership, you'd probably pay $80,000 for this thing. And on the surface, that seems insane. This is a 13-year-old design. It's really inefficient. It lacks most of the features people expect from an $80,000 or $90,000 vehicle. But the thing with the Land Cruiser is that it's not going to break. The issue with a lot of cars these days, and the Germans are particularly guilty of this, is that they only last for 7 to 10 years until things start to go wrong. They become really expensive to maintain. The plastic even starts to get brittle on the interior. Things start to break down, but that isn't the case with the Land Cruiser. So when you buy one of these, you can buy it expecting to keep it for 20 years at least. Mine is 22 years old. It's a 99 model. I believe it was built sometime in the middle of 1998. So it's approaching 22 years old now, and it's still going strong. So that means you take that $80,000 sticker price and you spread it over 20 years of ownership, and all of a sudden that price really starts to seem a little bit more reasonable. And the cool thing about Land Cruisers is when they're new, they're cool because they're a newer car, and then once they're old, they're cool because they're an old Land Cruiser. They're so different than your average vehicle, and that's the challenge with this vehicle, is marketing that and helping people to understand that. I hope some version of this vehicle is sold here forever because it facilitates such a unique experience. Mine has taken me all over the Mountain West. I love it. It's kind of become a part of my life. It's allowed for things in life that I wouldn't have been able to experience without it. And I think it's just such a cool vehicle and such a cool product. I could go on and on and on about this vehicle, but I think that sums up my feelings right there. This is just such a unique vehicle. It's the last of a dying breed of vehicles here in the US. And yeah, I hope, cross my fingers, that Toyota offers a Land Cruiser in some fashion in the US in the future when the next generation comes out. So I think that's it on the Land Cruiser for today. Thank you for watching.